Hello, Snips. What are you doing here? Oh, hello, Anakin. I'm here to extend the plot for a bit and not really move anything on very far. Oh, okay. In that case, let's have a fight for no reason. Hello and welcome to another episode of ShowHammer, where we're talking about Season 1, Episode 5 of Star Wars Ahsoka. Okay, this one, I knew it was going to be a downstep from the incredible Episode 4, because that's usually the way these things go. It's like steady, and then builds up to a climax, and then comes back down, and then builds back up to the second climax at the end of the season. So naturally, this was going to be a downstep. That's just how storytelling progresses. And I went into it expecting that. I got what I was expecting. And now I want to talk about whether this progresses the plot in any way and what it's setting up for next time. So, we don't see Sabine or the Dark Jedi in this. So, Baylan and mini grumpy Darth Maul, whoever she is, I can never remember her name. We don't see them at all. This is all about the people that were left behind after the climax of the last episode. So, we start off with Ahsoka speaking to Anakin Skywalker in the world between worlds. I was also almost going to say the world beyond worlds, but it's not. It's the world between worlds, and how this fits into the narrative. It's actually quite interesting. So, Ahsoka and Anakin almost immediately fight. I'm not convinced that this is to do with anything that really goes on, except he appears to want to make her a soldier. He's saying, you've got a fight ahead. I need you to not just be a leader, I need you to be a fighter. And she doesn't want that. And there's a great line later on saying, then you don't understand. Let's go back to the start. And then they go back to the world between worlds after having gone through the Clone Wars, the Siege of Mandalore. I did not expect to see Ahsoka fighting at the Siege of Mandalore at such a young age. That was very interesting. Also, they did a great switch between Rosario as the adult Ahsoka, and I'm not sure who the actress was, as the younger Ahsoka, who fit the Clone Wars era perfectly. Also, I love how Hayden Christensen has that kind of armour that he had in the Clone Wars with that very interesting artistic style that they were using. So he's more chunky armour on his shoulders. That was really well done. So the pauldrons were really big. In stark contrast to the shoulder pauldrons that Baylan uses. Baylan uses big armoured plates. He looks like he's a medieval knight. Anakin uses more leather. It's bulky leather, but he looks more like he's using a leather version of a tunic, the type of Jedi tunic that we see him wear all the time. So he's a warrior. Anakin is a soldier. It's very different, and I like that visual style. So Anakin is trying to train Ahsoka, and it appears that if anyone is associated with the Skywalkers in any way, they do not become a full Jedi unless they've had a tutorial from a ghost. That seems to be the thing that's coming from this. Obi-Wan had Qui-Gon come back from the dead and teach him during the time when he was a hermit. Luke had Obi-Wan as a Force ghost, and then later on also had Yoda as a Force ghost. Anakin gets visions, so that's interesting as well. And it turns out it's the Emperor, but he's getting visions. So everyone in the Skywalker line is getting taught by ghosts. It's ghosts all the way down. And as a result, you can't be associated with the Skywalkers unless you've been taught by a ghost. Ahsoka now has that. So she goes through everything that Skywalker has taught her, and it's interesting how he says that I have everything in me from those who taught me, my mentors. You have everything of me in you. But he keeps flashing to Darth Vader, and I think this isn't so much Anakin flashing into Darth Vader as Ahsoka not wanting to confront the fact that he did have a very dark side to him. She knew him as the good guy, but he always had that inner darkness. He was very intense. He was very emotional. He let too much of that out. He cared, essentially, he's a Greek tragedy. He cared too much, and bad people used that against him to turn him into a bad guy, which is something that I'll talk about in another one. But from Ahsoka's point of view, she does not want to confront that side of him. But he keeps saying, you have all of me in you. Your training is from me, so you took in everything of me. And then finally, she fights and confronts Vader. And Vader, as Anakin, before he took the mask and the big Vader armor, he's still Vader. I know a lot of people say he's not, and it's like, oh, Anakin Skywalker shouting, I hate you to Obi-Wan. It's like, no, that's not Anakin. Anakin's dead by that point. That's Darth Vader. Darth Vader isn't the armor. Darth Vader's the person in the armor, and the person that was before the armor as well. So she's confronting Vader, whether he has the armor on or not. And he's saying, if you don't understand, then you will die. And eventually she says, no, I choose to live. And it's like, finally you get it. You're not fighting because you have to fight. You're fighting to live, to save others. You're not a bad guy just because you take up arms. If you're taking up arms for the right reason. It's like, finally she gets it and comes back into the real world. At which point she becomes essentially Gandalf the White. It's a different person. Ahsoka, when she comes back out of that water and visits the rebels again, she is wearing a different costume. She's more lighter in colours. She's also smiling. This is really important. Because up to now, she's been very stoic, trying to keep the emotions repressed. But it's like, no, you don't get it, what Anakin's trying to teach you, and what he's been teaching you all through the Clone Wars and all of that. The Jedi way of repressing all of your emotions, because emotion can lead to the dark side, doesn't work. That's the whole of what the prequels are talking about. The Jedi, by the prequel era, have lost their way. And that's what they don't see, but it's what we as viewers see. Anakin, Luke, Rey, all of them, they all embrace emotion, which makes them stronger than everyone else. You can have emotion as long as you don't let it overwhelm you. It's kind of what Mace Windu was doing as well, which is why he has the purple lightsaber. But then she finally gets it, so she's smiling, she's more at peace with herself, she's more at peace with her past, having learned from Anakin. Now she realizes that just because you have emotion doesn't mean you have to become the dark side, which was fantastic. So, all of that from a few fights, a few flashbacks, and then a costume change. Star Wars is full of this kind of symbolism, and I love it for that. That's why I adore Star Wars. So, I thought that was great, and I'll tell you, I was on the edge of my seat, literally on the edge of my seat for a lot of this episode, watching this, and it's doing something really well. I don't think it's as fast-paced as the previous episode. I don't think it hits you straight away the same way the previous episode did, but I think it's still incredibly good. So I'm going to give it a ShowHammer rating of 8.5 out of 10. It's a really good one. I'm looking forward to seeing what we have for the rest of the show. But until next time, that's all I've got. I'd love to hear what you think. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you see the same things I did? Or did you get something different from it? Let's have a conversation in the comment section down below. But like I say, until next time, I've been Zoe Kirk Robinson. You've been watching ShowHammer. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you next time. If you like the show, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help create future videos. That's patreon.com/Zoe Kirk Robinson. And I've got an extra special thanks going out to Chief89, Sam Yates, Retro Mickey 82, Mo Henry, and George Botterini. Thank you so much, guys.